2 years, just a little bit over 2 years. Before that, I worked for the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Department, and before that, I was a truck driver. Any questions yet?
Sorry.
Are we going to turn the lights off?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so we're just going to start with reasons I can pull you over. Ready, go.
Sure. Swerving while driving.
Evasive maneuvers. Speeding. Expired registration. A DUI.
License plate doesn't match your car.
Stolen license plate. Stolen car. Tailgating.
Broken leg, tail light.
There's a lot of reasons, okay? We're going to talk about speeding first, okay? Why is it important to go the speed limit? Okay, there are things you don't think about when you speed. You just want to get from point A to point B as fast as you can, but you need to realize the faster you go, the greater your stopping distance, the more likely you'll be seriously injured in a crash, the more likely you'll crash in the event of equipment failure, and the more likely you'll get a ticket. Now, what do I mean by equipment failure? So there's 4 of them on your car, and they hold air.
Wheels. Tires.
What about them?
They might pop.
If you get a flat tire, I like pulling teeth in here. Okay, if you get a flat tire going 90 miles an hour, do you think you'll be able to keep control of your car? No.
Nope.
Probably not. Hey, do you have a higher chance of keeping control of your car going 70 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Everybody in this room is going to get a flat tire. I don't know if you guys knew that. Do you guys know what to do when you get a flat tire?
Change it.
You know how to change it? Culture blade?
Hold the wheel.
Okay, figure it out. Go home, take the wheel off your parents' car, and figure it out. I change probably 2 to 3 flat tires a day. Okay? What keeps those flat tires from turning into a huge crash are people are able to keep control of their car because they're going a safe speed. Okay, that's why you go the speed limit just in case something like this happens. All right. So when I say things like "all right" or "got it," or I throw up the double pistols like this, you guys say, "Yeah, Trooper Griffin."
Our job is to reconstruct serious crashes and get evidence that may be used in court. Now, this young woman landed here with serious head injuries. Following the huge force that threw her over 6 metres on the impact here, we can work out she was hit at 32 kilometres per hour by analysing the car and these tyre marks. So we started braking here. And first saw her when he was travelling at 65. But let's change one small thing. Now he's doing 60 when he sees her. And this time he hits her at only 5 kilometres per hour. She'd just have a bruised leg. And we'd never have been called to this incident.
I always forget to say, some of these pictures and videos are pretty graphic. Heads up.
Really?
You guys got this disclaimer?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. So there are a few things different between what he deals with and what I deal with. Okay, he deals in kilometers an hour, we deal in miles an hour. That was a surface street, I deal on the highway. He has that accent and I talk like this. Nobody in the last class got that joke. All right. Okay, so when he's saying wipe off 5, he's talking about kilometers an hour. Okay, it's essentially the same thing as me saying go 70 miles an hour instead of 80 because of those things you don't think about. Does anybody know what the average reaction time is?
Wait,
A second and a half. Okay.
Oh,
That's the time it takes for you to take your foot off the gas, over to the brake, and start braking. Okay. In that second and a half, obviously you're going to travel a further distance at that higher speed, but you also need to think about your stopping distance. It takes a lot longer to stop at a faster speed. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Griffin.
Okay, so I like to play a game called What Kind of Car Is That? This presentation. And this is round 1. Okay, what kind of car is that? So this is a 94 to 2002 Dodge Ram body style. I know that because I've seen the police report, but I also had one. Okay, mine was a diesel, which is awesome for pulling a trailer, but all that torque is useless in the snow because pickup trucks don't have any weight over their rear tires. Now, we're gonna talk about my truck a little bit later, but for now, how fast do you think you can safely travel in weather conditions like this? It's snowy, foggy, and it could be icy.
Probably 20.
Or 30. I feel like that's a safe.
40.
We'll say 40. Okay, the speed limit's 70 though. Does that change anything?
No.
I have no idea.
So we'll go over this again. I said, how fast do you think you can safely travel in weather conditions like this? And she said, 40. And I said, the speed limit's 70 though. Does that change anything?
Yeah, no.
You can't travel 70.
No.
No, Officer Griffiths.
Okay, just because the speed limit's 70 miles an hour does not mean you can go 70 miles an hour year round. If it's only safe to go 40 miles an hour, only go
40 miles an hour.
That's right, okay?
Yeah.
Go home and tell your parents because we just got done with winter and they all forgot that. If you are going 60 miles an hour in the snow and lose control of your car and hit the wall, you are going to get a ticket for traveling too fast for existing conditions. Okay, again, just because the speed limit's 70 does not mean you get to go 70 miles an hour year round. Perfect. Okay, what is the appropriate falling distance according to your book?
2 seconds.
Okay, so I think your book says about 2 to 4 seconds. I would lean towards more of the 4 seconds. You cannot be far enough away from the car in front of you, because if that car in front of you stops or slows down for traffic or something like that, you have to be able to stop behind it. If you rear end the car in front of you, 100% of the time, that's going to be your fault in that crash. Okay? And we measure it in seconds, not car lengths. Do you know why?
Depends how fast you're going.
Exactly, okay? 3 car lengths at 30 miles an hour and 3 car lengths at 70 miles an hour, okay? Those spaces don't change with car lengths. But 3 seconds at 30 miles an hour and 3 seconds at 70 miles an hour. Okay, that distance changes because at that higher speed, you need more space between you and the car in front of you. Does that make sense? What happened here?
A semi.
Fell over. The wind blew it over, and then a whole bunch of cars weren't paying attention, so they hit into it and caused a traffic jam.
That's actually right. I
I knew it was. You guys think I'm stupid.
Yeah, I was kidding, yes. That's not what happened, but
Aww.
I was meant to do that for a second. Okay, the short answer is, I have no idea.
Oh,
This
see,
happened
so
in
my
California?
thing could be accurate.
You said he blew something over. This
No,
guy's
I'm saying the
yelling.
wind knocked the trailer over because it fell over, then the cars weren't paying attention.
Whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna take an educated guess at what did happen. Okay, it was foggy or something like that. This guy lost control and everybody was either following too close or traveling too fast for conditions and started this huge pileup. Now in foggy weather, should you be closer to the car in front of you or further away? Further away, because if you can barely see the car in front of you, you for sure don't know what's going on in front of them. If they have to stop or slow down for this crash here, and you rear end them and add to it, that part of the crash is going to be on you. Does that
What
make
about the
sense?
other side? Yes, Trooper Griffith.
Okay, what is the move over law?
When you're on the street, you go.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
Like, so, when you pull someone over, you have to move the lane aside so that way they can do what they need to do. So
Exactly.
that'd be safe.
Okay, so that is the move over law. But we're going to talk about something else because usually people get this wrong. Okay, so imagine I-15 is HOV lane, 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5. Okay, if you were in lane 1 and I come up behind you with my lights and sirens on, what do?
Pull over to the emergency lane.
Move to the
Right.
right. Okay, always go to the right. Now, if you're in the HOV lane with a double white line and I come up behind you with my lights and sirens on, what do?
Go to the right.
Move to the
Left.
Right.
always go to the right. Okay, my lights and sirens trump that double white line law. Okay, wait till it's safe to do so. But if I come up behind you, I need you to move out of my way the second you see my lights. If I'm going somewhere with my lights and sirens on, that means there's an accident blocking lanes. or somebody's injured, or an officer needs a backup, okay? Every second that I waste behind you, waiting for you to move out of the way, or when you slow down to like 40 miles an hour, or you move to the left, which is more into my way, okay, that's time wasted where I need to be somewhere. So the second you see my lights, move out of my way, okay?
Okay. Yes, Trooper Griffin.
Perfect, but the move over law is what he was describing, okay? If I have somebody pulled over on the side of the road, you need to slow down and move over. Now, is that Mazda okay where he's at right here?
Yes, Trooper Griffin.
Okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. You can see how he's got his brake lights on and he's hugging that dotted white line, but he can't actually change lanes because that lane is occupied, but he's trying to get as far away from me as possible. Okay, that is actually okay. But what about this guy right here?
He's dumb.
That's right, okay? He doesn't have his brake lights on and he's driving down the center of the lane when he could actually change lanes.
Yeah.
This guy can actually get pulled over and cited for that. And I'm going to do that every time because I don't want to get hit by a car. It's super easy to move over a lane when you see my lights. They're super bright.
Yeah.
So do it right away. Don't wait until the last second and then traffic catches up to you and you can't move over. Okay, do it right away. All right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's actually dash cam footage from police across the country.
We didn't want to just tell you how dangerous the road can be, we want to show you. Get out of the road! Being on the side of the road is a very dangerous place for anyone involved. That's why it's critical that when you're approaching an emergency vehicle or a person who's stranded, that you slow down and move over and give them the room they need. Pay attention to the roadway. Don't focus on the stranded motorist or the emergency vehicle. Look straight ahead to where you want to go rather than at the incident. Miami.
Over here, man. If you're up here and anybody hits the back of my patrol car, it's a good chance you're going to get caught somewhere in between that car and your car. And if you're not caught in between, you may still get struck by one of the vehicles. I don't want that to happen to you. Just like that, see? Just like that.
We wear bulletproof vests, but our vests won't stop these bullets. Please slow down and move over to help keep our troopers safe.
Okay, so it's videos like this is why we have the move over law. Because actually in this video, not everybody survived these crashes. Okay, you actually saw people get seriously injured in these crashes. That's why it's important to slow down and move over the second you see my lights, okay? He also made a good point when he said it's not just for emergency vehicles, it's for stranded motorists as well. Like I said, everybody in here is going to get a flat tire. While you're trying to change that tire on the side of the road, do you want people driving 70 miles an hour right past you?
No.
That's right, okay? So make sure that you slow down and move over. It's against the law for you to do it to me. It's just common courtesy to slow down and move over for other people, okay? Okay, so this is a Utah High Patrolman. He's going to stop out with somebody on the left. What I want you to do is pay attention to the weather conditions and how many people don't move over for him.
343, go ahead.
If there be any injury, they have to
hear you, officer. Okay. One on the truck? Okay. Is that the truck up there? I think so, I'm not sure. Put the seatbelt on. Here comes the semi! Here comes the semi! Come on, hurry! Hurry, hurry! Come on, come on, come on! What? What? You okay? You're alright. You're alright. Come on, we're alright. Here comes the man. Get on this side. Get on this side. Get over! Get over! Get over! Get over!
All right, what did you guys see?
It was raining.
Okay. It is February 13th, 2007. Okay, do you think it could possibly be snow?
Yeah.
Okay, did it snow this February? Did it snow in March? Did it snow in April? Did it snow last week? Okay, it looks like rain on his windshield, probably because he's got his heater on, but I guarantee it's freezing outside. And when that precipitation hits the cold ground, it turns into ice and slush really fast. How fast was that FedEx truck going?
Probably going like 7.
Okay, I have no idea, but he was going too fast. His citation would read too fast for existing conditions. And he was going way faster than everybody else with both of his trailers sideways, and he was actually dragging another car. This goes back to my pickup. Okay, like I said, it's a diesel with a lot of torque that is useless in the snow because there's no weight over the rear tires. So when I drive it, I know I have to do it at a slower speed so that I can get to where I need to go safely. My patrol car is all-wheel drive with weight evenly distributed front and rear. I can drive at a higher speed in my patrol car and still be safe. You guys need to think about the car you're driving and the weather conditions you're driving in so that you know how fast you can drive safely. Okay?
Yes, Trooper Griffith.
Good, good. Drugs and alcohol. Okay, how much alcohol can a person have in their system between the age of 16 to 21 and still legally drive? Zero, because you're not even allowed to drink yet. What about 21 to 100 years old?
0.05. Yeah, 0.05 because of the new law. On December 0.5. Wait, 0.05.
There's a lot of zeros. Okay, you can say 0.05. Super easy. So it used to be 0.08, but then it changed in January to 0.05. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the way I do my job. It shouldn't affect your decision whether you want to drink or drive or not. Okay, just don't. Now, can you get a DUI without any alcohol?
Yeah.
You can get it on something else?
Yeah.
And you can get it on illegal drugs, but also prescription medication. Now, if you get a prescription that says, do not operate machinery, or something like this, or causes drowsiness, you can actually get a DUI off that. We'll talk about illegal drugs. Now, marijuana is the easiest one to talk about. So we'll talk about that one. How long does marijuana stay in your system? How did you know that? You don't smoke weed? Not your background? Okay, so 30 days, that's right. That means if you go up to Colorado where it's legal to smoke weed and come back through Utah 20 days later, can you still get charged with a DUI?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that THC is still in your system. You are still technically under the influence of it. You will go to jail, your driver's license will get suspended, your car will get impounded. The state statute reads 0.05 blood alcohol content or any measurable amount of a controlled substance. That means it doesn't matter how small that amount is, if it's in your system, you can still get charged with a DUI. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, Trooper.
All right, where do you guys see yourselves when you're 18 years old? What are you going to be doing?
Driving safely.
Graduating high school.
Getting a job.
Getting a job.
Going to college.
Going to college. Senior trip.
I'm gonna earn when I'm 17, that's dope.
Joining the military. Okay, there's a lot of things. Now, when this girl was 18 years old, she decided to get drunk and jump in her Jeep. She got on I-15, ended up crossing that unprotected median, and went head-on with another car. At 18 years old, because of this decision, her life is over. Now, there were two people in the car that she hit. Their lives are over because of her decision. You affect more than just you with the decisions you make on the highway, because you are not the only person on that highway. You affect everybody else around you. Now, I just explained this slide at Granger High, and the kid raised his hand and he said, hey, that's my sister's car. She was the one driving that Jeep. Okay? They were from Salt Lake City, and she was going to school in St. George. This crash happened in Fillmore, which is around the middle of the state. So with her one decision, she affected friends and family in the northern part of the state, she affected friends and classmates in the southern part, and she affected first responders and everybody that had to see this on scene in the middle of the state. She affected the whole state with her one decision. When I taught this class at West Jordan High, then I found out that a secretary at West Jordan High was actually the parent of the people in the car that was struck. Okay? You have no idea who you're going to affect with your decisions. So make sure that you are making good decisions so you can affect people in a positive way and not a negative way. Okay?
Wow, it's such a small world.
What is the #1 killer of teenagers?
Destruct.
Cell phones? You need new friends if your friends are killing you. Okay, driving. You all suck at driving. Okay? Embrace it so that you can change. Now, when I was in high school, I was not that good of a driver, but now I'm better because I've got more experience. Your teacher is a better driver than all of you because he's got more experience. That's why he's in the car with you during road drives to help reinforce good habits and try and get rid of bad ones. Now, these next couple crashes happened in Salt Lake, and there's a story behind each one. But first, what kind of car is that? Doesn't matter, okay? This is going to happen no matter what kind of car it's in. This was a high school age female who had just broken up with her boyfriend. Now, can we agree that she was not emotionally 100%?
Yeah.
Perfect, okay? However this crash happened, this tree is now in her passenger compartment. This is the steering column, and this is the front seat that's now in the back seat. She did not survive this crash because she was not mentally or emotionally prepared to handle her car. Your car is 5,000 pounds that you need to be in control of at all times. It can cause a lot of damage to you, it can cause a lot of damage to other people, so you need to stay in control of it at all times. Okay? Perfect. So do you think the driver of this car could have survived this crash? And look at the passenger compartment with this car versus this car. Do you think the driver of this car could have survived this crash?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like the seats are where they're supposed to be at, the airbag deployed. Why did she not survive this crash? Okay, because this is her seatbelt right here. She was not wearing it. This was another high school age female who went to her boyfriend's house instead of going to work and was late coming home, so she was going over 100 miles an hour on 215. She ended up losing control of her car and rolled it. She was ejected. Her mom was actually tracking her cell phone, and when her daughter didn't show up home on time, she went out looking for her daughter based on where her cell phone was at and rolled up on this crash scene. Do not be the person that makes your parents roll up on your crash scene like this. Okay? Go the speed limit. Obey the traffic laws. Wear your seatbelts. You are all supposed to outlive your parents. Okay?
Yes, Trooper Griffin.
Perfect.
Body to body, funky to funky, we know how to rock your party.
This is Michael. Today he's going to hit his girlfriend so hard, she ends up with permanent brain damage.
Funky to funky, we know how to rock your party.
I can never get enough of a man like you. Do that to me one more.
dead in this vehicle. The girl is critical. They say the guy without the seatbelt did the damage.
No seatbelt, no excuse.
Alright, what did that officer say?
The guy not wearing a seatbelt caused it.
He said, 3 dead in this vehicle, the driver's in critical condition, the guy without the seatbelt did the damage. Okay, that crash was not that bad. I've seen worse crashes like that on I-15 and people are able to just walk away. But that one unbuckled passenger caused more damage inside that car than the cars did in that crash. You need to make sure that not only you are wearing your seatbelt, but everybody else in that car is wearing their seatbelt as well, so they don't cause more damage in that crash. Okay?
Yes, true.
Okay, so this crash was done at 55 miles an hour. There's 6 dummies inside of it, and none of them are wearing their seatbelts. Now what I want you to pay attention to is this guy that gets thrown straight into the air, and these 2 that actually get run over by the car as it rolls. Okay, so I need a level of maturity with this one, and imagine that they're real people. Okay? Each of those dummies weighs 155 pounds. 98% of the time, if you get ejected from your car during a crash, you will not survive that crash. And the 2% that do survive are not going to just get up and walk away from that. These guys are actually getting sucked out of closed windows through centrifugal force. Now they use dummies, but this is how your body is going to react in a crash like this. The forces are too great, you're not going to be able to control what your body does. The only person I think that would have survived this crash is this guy right here. Okay, he actually got sucked up onto the roof and stayed inside the car during this rollover. Can you see how the roof or the structure of the car is still intact?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how car manufacturers build their cars, to protect the occupants inside. Does it matter how well built the car is if everybody gets ejected from it?
No.
No, that's why you need to wear your seatbelt so you can stay inside your car. Let that car do its job. It can take a lot more force than your body can. Okay? Perfect. What are some distractions that drivers have? Phones. Friends. Radio.
Being drowsy. Oh, wait, no, okay. I thought you were saying like the top.
So these are some that I've seen. Radio, cell phones, friends, rowdy children, eating, shaving, rubbernecking, and reading.
You've seen shaving?
Yeah, perfect. Everybody in this room lives in a neighborhood, right?
Yes.
Are there little kids in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Do they play in the street?
Yes.
Everybody in my neighborhood plays in the street because our front yards are really small. Now it's my responsibility driving home to not hit those little kids. I don't want to have to go to his mom and say, hey, really sorry hit your kid, but I got a text. But he was playing in the street, so.
Whoops.
Okay. One of the hardest things I have to do is called a fatality notification. That's where there's a crash where somebody dies. I have to go somewhere I've never been and talk to somebody who I've never met and let them know their loved one isn't coming home anymore. Okay, but that's not up to me. That's up to you guys. So this crash happened on I-80. My wife actually responded to this crash and she took the pictures of it. Now this car was stopped, okay, going 0 miles an hour in traffic. This guy was doing about 70 miles an hour. He said that he was distracted by his thoughts when this crash happened. He's a construction worker, so the bed of his truck is full of tools and equipment. That trailer he's pulling is full of more tools and equipment. He easily weighs over 10,000 pounds driving down the road. In this car, there was a driver and a front seat passenger, and then a back seat passenger that was sitting behind the driver. Now that back seat passenger had to be transported to the hospital due to the injuries sustained in this crash. Now in the back seat, behind the passenger seat, where all this damage is at, there was a booster seat. The driver said it was a last-second decision not to bring her 2-year-old while she was running errands that day. Now there is not a doubt in my mind that if that 2-year-old was in that back seat, this would have been a fatal crash. Okay, again, you have no idea who's in that car in front of you. So you need to do everything you can by paying attention, looking up at the road and not at your phone, so that crashes like this don't happen. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. What should you do if you are feeling tired or drowsy while you're driving?
Don't drive. Pull over.
Pull over, okay? Preferably at a gas station or a rest stop, not just on the side of the road. Even getting out in weather like this is going to wake you up, but you need to get something to eat or get something to drink or walk around, whatever you have to do to wake yourself back up. The worst thing you can do is stay in your car and keep driving and think, I'm almost there, I think I can make it. Okay, that's when you're going to push yourself too far and you're going to fall asleep at the wheel. That's when you could get into an accident. That's when you could get hurt. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so this is a quick video. I just want you to pay attention to the driver. Okay, why did he crash?
Fell asleep.
Okay, he was falling asleep. Why is he in the back seat?
He's not wearing a
He
seatbelt.
wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He's actually dead in this picture because his head exited the vehicle and it's under this B pillar on that side.
Yeah.
This is kind of what happened in my crash in the Trailblazer, except my head didn't exit the vehicle. How long were his eyes closed?
2 seconds.
Like a second, maybe 2 seconds. He was experiencing what we call a microsleep. Okay, they can last up to 5 seconds. It's where you fall asleep but don't realize it until you wake back up. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. In that 5 seconds, at 70 miles an hour, a lot of things can change. So that you need to stay awake and alert so that you can see those changes so that you don't get into an accident. Okay? Perfect. So the point of this presentation was not to scare you guys into not wanting to get your driver's licenses. Okay, I got mine when I was 16 and I have loved it ever since. I really like driving around. Luckily, I have a job where pretty much all I do is just drive around. But I don't want you to be another picture in my slideshow. I don't want to have to say, hey, I actually taught this person at Jordan High, but they didn't listen to me talking about seatbelts, and so now I get to talk about them and show their picture. Okay, I want you to drive, but I need you to drive safely. Okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So these next couple crashes are fatal crashes that happen in Salt Lake. And they each have one of these. Okay, what is this right here? Okay, that's a body. How did he end up in the median? Okay, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. That's where he ended up. We do not pull people out of their cars, drag them 50 yards, and then render aid in the median. Okay, that's where he ended up after this crash.
Really?
Has anybody ever hit their windshield before with their head?
No.
Okay. If you hit your head on your windshield hard enough to crack it, you are going to remember that forever if you don't have lasting damage from it. The fact that this guy was able to punch his head all the way through his windshield is why he's in the fatality section of this presentation. Okay, how did this guy end up on the shoulder? Okay, that's where he ended up after the crash. This is actually a motorcyclist. We don't talk about wearing a helmet because after the age of 18, you don't have to legally wear a helmet to ride a motorcycle. But is it a good idea to wear a helmet?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Your head is really soft. The concrete is really hard. You are going to lose that one. This is a joke. I'm starting to think they're not funny when I have to tell you that they're funny.
That was funny.
There we go.